Hey guys, Chris and I are here. We are wanting to talk to you about Adventures by Disney and tell you a little bit about our experiences that we've had with them and also just help you understand the difference between a couple of itineraries. Um, First of all, Adventures by Disney, what would it be in a nutshell?
If you love the Disney Cruise Line and you love the service that you get from the Disney Cruise Line, the fact that you don't have to think that it's a true vacation, Adventures by Disney is that essentially. But you're going to all these great places, and there's a story that's told from the very beginning, and it carries on throughout the whole vacation.
What do you mean you don't have to think?
Well, I mean, most vacations you have to arrange things and think about what you're going to do next, or if you're going to be able to see everything that you want to see in certain areas,
Or you're going to understand what you see when you see it.
exactly. So the fact that you get to be educated and you're able to see things that you might never see again on a trip like that, and the service is outstanding. So it's a good combination of everything.
I think it's been our favorite way to travel. And after you do Adventures by Disney, you're going to want to see the world and you're going to want to see it with Disney because really there's just no other way to do it. So let's just dive in and we'll talk about the itineraries real quick and give you an idea of the difference between the two that we're going to talk about today. I'm sorry. Okay, so Wyoming. So out of the West adventures that Disney offers, you're gonna be offered 3 different itineraries: Wyoming, Montana, and Arizona, Utah. And they're all different. Even though we're in the U.S., we're going out west, they all have a different feel. So this Wyoming adventure, you are going to fly into Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and from the moment you get to the airport, your group is going to meet you there with your guides, and they make introductions. And I think you mentioned...
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of Adventures by Disney is you actually connect with the other families that are there in the group. And so from the very beginning, the very first minute, you're introducing yourself to your group for the rest of the week. And connections are made, and people, immediately start becoming a family the very first day. And I didn't think I would like group travel, but it was, both times we've been, it's been fantastic. And you leave with friends at the end of the trip.
So. Right. So those bonds and those friendships start the moment you arrive in Jackson Hole, and you'll board a coach bus that's just top of the line. It's fully stocked with snacks and waters and adventure guides who do games, and just it's not just riding to your destination anywhere you go. It is riding fully entertained, which is so neat. I can't do that when I'm with my family by myself. So when you first get to Jackson Hole, you're going to spend a couple nights there. You're going to go north to the Grand Teton National Park, and then you'll spend some time in Yellowstone National Park, and then you'll come back down south to spend a few nights at the Brooks Lake Lodge, which is a treat. So let's talk about this some more. Okay, so when you go on Adventures by Disney, it's hard to talk about this and really get people to understand that you're not just staying in a comfort inn or a hotel.
That's right. Like I said before, the story starts the first day you meet your guides, and they're telling it. You're immersed in the story from the first day, and that includes the hotels that you stay in. They're not just comfort inns or even nicer hotels, Ritz-Carltons or anything like that. You're staying in places that have meaning and places that are part of the story that you're a part of on the trip. So.
Right. So first night on this particular Wyoming adventure, you're staying at the historic Wart Hotel in downtown Jackson Hole. Very special place. And then as you spend some time in the city of Jackson Hole, they really play up the cowboy experience. And so You're going to visit a playhouse, which feels like a saloon. And you don't just visit this place, you become part of the story and meet these rowdy characters and rowdy cowboys and just feel like you have been transported back to the Wild West. If you like adventure and you like whitewater rafting, this one's got the Snake River. And our experience with whitewater rafting was the best way possible to experience it, I guess, because I didn't have to prepare my family. I didn't have to pack certain things or provide snacks. Like, Disney just delivered us to the perfect spot on the river, dropped us off.
They told us exactly what to wear, exactly what to bring. When we get to the place, they have people set up to hand us our gear. They provide a place to go put it on, to get dressed, a place to store our clothes and our belongings. When we get to the put in spot, it's the perfect spot so where you can see the scenery. It's about a hour and a half to 2 hour long trip down the river. The scenery's amazing, and when you get done, you go back to the raft center, and they hand you a plastic bag to put your clothes in if you got anything wet. And so they have everything prepared. It's not
well, and logistically, taking a family similar like this, you could tackle this on your own. But when you've got little kids and you've got others to take care of, or even grandmothers and granddads, because I took my dad on one, I mean, they had lunch waiting on us when we got off the raft. And so that even just that simple part of having lunch ready for this mama it just makes it a vacation. Not to mention the pictures that they provide you. I'm sorry I skipped slides there, but we'll talk about that a little bit later too. They have photographers on the routes, and the pictures are provided in your adventure, so you don't even have to think about that. Every memory is captured.
Yeah, every time I show somebody a picture of us whitewater rafting, they're like, somebody standing in the water taking pictures, because they're so close, you can see our faces. And it's just,
we've got some great pictures. We'll show you about that a little bit later too. So this Wyoming adventure keeps taking you north to the Grand Teton National Park. Chris, what do you think about just Wyoming in general and doing it with Disney?
Well, I mean, when this picture is beautiful, but it doesn't really do justice to how you feel when you're standing in that spot, and the land and the sky goes as far as you can see. There's nothing but nature and beautiful scenery on all sides of you. And so it's just hard to explain what you feel when you're standing there and the wind's blowing and it's beautiful.
If you can imagine having a narrator walking around with you to just really tie the story together of your vacation, that's what Disney does when you walk into a setting like this. It's amazing on its own, but when you've got a storyteller there narrating everything for you and giving you history and giving you science, it really just changes the dynamic of the vacation.
Right. It's one thing to go see beautiful places like that, but it's another thing, as you can see in this picture. This is Grand Prismatic, but you can see the different colors of the soil. And when you walk up, the steam is actually rainbow color. And you've got a guide there with you that tells you why that is and what makes it look like this, and what makes the steam, what makes the heat, what makes it smell like it does, where it comes from. And so for us, we have 4 kids, and every time we do this, we learn a ton. We leave not just with an experience, but with an education.
Right.
So there's a double value.
Right. And when I think about traveling, just all of the research that goes into traveling, and if you're going to spend money going to places around the world, you want to understand what you're looking at. You want to know, when was Yellowstone National Park founded? What was the history of that? And then, like Chris mentioned, the science behind things. We have nursing degrees, and now we're in the travel industry, but we don't have a geology degree, and we don't have a history degree. And so it really just rounds out the vacation for us and for our children to experience it this way. There's Maggie when we visit.
And there's our theater major.
That's right. Our theater major getting a little science lesson here. Just beautiful. So beautiful. On this Wyoming tour, you are in Yellowstone National Park, and this is an iconic place. You might have heard about it. It's called Artist Point, but it's so majestic and magnificent that artists just want to sit and capture this. And so you'll see many paintings all over, just talking about this one particular point. But it's on your trip, as well as the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. So as far as majestic beauty, it's just endless.
And another thing, when you go to these places, the guides know exactly where to take you to get the best view of everything. And so you don't have to just roam around and try to figure out where to stand, where to take a picture. They've got it all planned out to where they walk you right to the spot and you take the best pictures, and they've got a camera. They're capturing pictures the whole time. You get all those pictures at the end of the trip. I mean, it's just the best of, it's the best of both worlds.
It is. I mean, it's, if you could just package a vacation together, it's almost like our detailed itinerary planning for Walt Disney World. You just package something together and tie it with a bow, but then you not only hand it to a family, but you're handing it to a family by an experienced guide. It just makes it amazing.
And a lot of these guys they don't get hired just to guide people around. They have geology degrees. They have degrees in wildlife resources. Mm-hmm. They have different types of degrees that make them even more knowledgeable about each of these places. So it's not just, they don't just read a book and then come and tell you about it. They experience it. They live it. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So to move on for the Wyoming particular itinerary, we talked about lodging and how important it is to the storytelling. And on this itinerary, Brooks Lake Lodge plays a huge role in this vacation. This is a lodge nestled in the mountains. You are going to be just surrounded by activities galore when you're here. And one thing we talked about earlier, Chris, was the fact that you're looking at vacation planning, but really this is adventure. This is not a vacation, it's an adventure. And so it's a very active vacation. And so when you take your family, this is not a lay on the beach, take naps kind of trip. This is, one thing after another of just activity and adventure. So this itinerary really packs full.
And the thing that makes it wonderful is it's as close to an all-inclusive as you can get for an adventure trip.
Right.
The thing that people love, the thing that we love about Disney Cruise Line and other all-inclusive resort-type vacations is once you pay for it, that's pretty much it.
It is. And
you get everything. You never pull out your wallet, no matter what you're doing. You're whitewater rafting, they're handing you your stuff. You don't go pay for it. When you go to horseback riding, you don't go pay for that horseback riding. When you go do whatever activity that you do. And another thing, you walk to the front of the line.
Yes. No
matter where you're going. We were at Lake Louise one time in Canada, and there's a line half a mile long around Lake Louise waiting to get into the kayaking or the canoe stand. They walked us around the line to the back of the building, handed us a vest, and we got in boats.
Everybody kept saying, "Who is that going through? Why are they skipping the line?" And we wanted to say, "We're Disney. Yeah. We're with Disney."
I mean, it's a privilege to go on a trip like this.
It is. One thing you talked about, you don't pay for anything, but you also don't tip anybody else. And so when you're doing the horseback riding, anybody that you come in contact with, they've already been tipped by Disney. You do not have to tip your fishing guide, anybody.
Sometimes when you have meals, they will plan in meals with your family on your own, or even with your spouse on your own. And when you do those meals, it's usually in a 5-star restaurant, and the bill will be $250, and you don't pay anything. You don't pay the tip. It's already taken care of. So that's an added bonus to a trip like this. It's an adventure, but it's also an all-inclusive adventure. So
that's right. So at Brooks Lake Lodge, you're going to have your horseback riding on trails with cowboys. You're going to have canoeing and archery. Fly fishing has been something we've gotten to experience before as well. And
this area of the country is some of the best fly fishing in the world. There's multiple rivers all over the place. The guides are the best in the world. They come from all over the place to live here just to be able to stay and fly fish in these rivers.
They take you to the best spot in the river, so you're guaranteed to catch fish. I mean, George Grant just racked up.
Yeah, he caught 9 fish. That was just one of them right there, but he caught 9.
So,
and as you can see, that he's got waders on, so he walked out into the river and caught fish.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the real deal. You're not just standing on the bank. So,
needless to say, that smile right there was a real smile that stayed on his face the entire trip. Not to mention the fact that the last night that we finished one this summer, he cried because he did not want to leave his new friends and he didn't want to leave this adventure. It was that great. Okay, so we are going to move on to the Montana adventure. And this is actually the one that we went on this summer. And you're going to see some differences between the two, the Wyoming and Montana. Let's look at the map first. So when we flew into Montana, we flew into Bozeman, and we immediately started our trek down south, and we went into Yellowstone right away. We spent quite a bit of time in Yellowstone. You can actually see that we spent day 1, 2, and 3 in Yellowstone National Park. We went south, we ventured back up north and went to West Yellowstone, and then we ended up in Big Sky, which is, you probably heard of it, a ski resort. So you can imagine in the summer what the mountains would be like, and that's where we finished our trip. So we started off immediately, like I said, in Yellowstone, and we saw these just God-made natural creations, and when we experience these things, like we've mentioned earlier, we experienced it with a guide, not just a Disney guide, but a guide who worked for Yellowstone that walked around explaining everything for us. So Mammoth Hot Springs was not just something to stare at. It was something to learn about.
We're walking around. These things are active. Like they're putting off steam. They're putting off water's coming out of these things and trickling down and actually creating more of what you're looking at right now as we're standing here. And so it's an active living thing. I mean, it's moving still. There's all kinds of things to see like that. So this is Lamar Valley. This is the very first day. We traveled down into Lamar Valley. That's where the bulk of the wildlife, I would say the best chance to see the wildlife would be. And the very first thing we pull over at like a lookout spot. And to the left, you can't see it to the left, but there's just a wide open range out to the left. It's just flat ground, and then it rolls up into some rolling hills and mountains. But right here, the very first thing we see 3 bison. And they come across the road and they just stand in the road. They block both lanes. And so the traffic's backing up on both ends, and we're all just standing there taking pictures.
You know, I wish you could have seen my kids' faces when this happened. I mean, we're standing we were taking this photo, and we are watching this play, and it was just comical. Not only are we that close to these animals that we've never seen before, but to watch something just interact with our world like that, it was a sight to behold for sure.
I mean, you got 3 800-pound animals. I mean, that looks far away, but it's not that far away. Actually, they kept saying, everybody back up, everybody back up. Like, you need to kind of step back a little bit, give them some room.
You know, I thought about the people that were just driving their cars through Yellowstone, and they didn't quite get the story if they were just driving by themselves. We were with a local person that worked for Yellowstone, and we also had been told, because of the radio that she carried, that there was a pack of wolves that were denned down just in a den over, beside us. And actually we were able to kind of get out and find those because of the guide that we had with us. If Chris and I had driven out here by ourselves with the kids, we would have never known that was going on. So, I mean, it was neat. It felt like behind the scenes of Lamar Valley. Okay, this might be my favorite thing in it ever done.
Yeah.
So, okay, camping is probably great, but glamping is definitely great. This gives you that ability to enjoy camping out in the Montana and under the big sky, but without roughing it. So you get the feeling of sleeping under the stars, you get the feeling of the campfire, you smell the crisp, clean air. You hear the animals at night.
But you're sleeping on the most comfortable mattress of the week.
Right.
that bed in that tent was the most comfortable bed we had for the whole week.
We didn't have to pitch the tent. We didn't have to keep the fire going all night when it was freezing cold outside. We were warm and toasty. This glamping is the way to go, and to do it in Yellowstone, it was just a dream come true. The boys got to sleep in a teepee. Now this was super special. They stayed there all night, had a great time. How fun is that? This is the view from our tent. Can you even grasp how big that sky is in this picture? I don't know.
Yeah, and you can see down to the left what the back porch actually looks like. And I think we have a picture again in just a second, but you have steps up to a platform the tent is resting on. So you're off the ground, you're not sleeping on the ground. And then you have a bed and a bathroom and a shower.
Right.
And so it's really, it's as luxury as you can get as far as being in a tent. But the views were amazing.
We spent the afternoon out there flying kites, and
which was all given to us. They brought, here's a ball for volleyball, here's a kite if you want to fly it, there's board games in here if you want to play them. All that's taken care of.
Down to the smallest detail. I have a video of a tour of the tent, and I'll make sure that I get that to you guys. This was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about storytelling and just immersion into the Wild West. The stagecoach adventure was a lot of fun. One thing that made it so special, I felt like, was that it off-roaded. We were in Yellowstone National Park, and everybody else was in their cars, driving the road, but we got off-roaded in this stagecoach, and really got to experience Yellowstone just more naturally. They gathered us under some trees, and we got to hear stories side by side.
Picnic lunch out there at this historic site. I can't remember what they used to do out there. They have a house out there.
Yeah.
I think it was almost like a entertainment place where all the cowboys would come out at the end of the day and have like a show out there.
And you know what? We didn't see it, but the day before we were here, there were bears there.
Yes.
They were talking about they were having to dispose of the lunches quickly because the bears were coming in on them. So you were in nature. Jack Henry just had a ball. And this is something, this picture reminds me of why we go on vacation. This is that smile and this age. He's 6 years old, and he just experienced the Wild West, and he did it with us. And it's a memory that he will always have, we will always have. And I don't want to lose this age, I wanted him to experience things like this at 6. I'd do it again. So we did get to spend some time at the Old Faithful Geyser, which is a nice, treat. Excuse me.
And oddly enough, Old Faithful is somewhat on the schedule, mm-hmm. And so they know kind of a window when it's going to erupt, and so I guess erupt's the word.
Disney plans for that, though.
Yeah, we arrived in perfect timing
to have lunch,
get there, have lunch, and walk out right when it went off.
You couldn't have done that if you had done this on your own.
No, they've got it marched out all day long, exactly when you need to be everywhere. So,
this Montana adventure also visits the Grand Prismatic Springs. So we, just wanted to show you that you are going to get to see that on both itineraries. Our whitewater rafting was the Gallatin River, and y'all talk about Americana. We were in the raft going down this most beautiful river, and a bald eagle flies over our heads, and I just teared up. I'm very patriotic anyway, but it really just was a ribbon tied onto this rafting trip. Look at the boys. They had a ball. And this is an example of the pictures that you receive when you finish your adventure. Your whole trip is documented. This was a great part of the Montana trip, 320 guest ranch. So this goes back to where you stay matters. And this is a working ranch. This is something else that made me tear up. Every morning they run the horses to a different pasture. The cowboys herd them over, and just watching hundreds of horses just run through this ranch. It was beautiful. I thought I was in a movie.
Can you go back to the last picture?
I don't know if I can or not. I don't think I can.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep it going.
It is a good one. So on the ranch, it's a working ranch. They take you horseback riding if you want to. First of all, this was in July, and we were surrounded by wildflowers. There was snow on top of the mountains. But looking for Grant, it's his first time to ride horses. I just couldn't think of a better way to do it. Oh, Chris and Maggie got to tell them about your bike ride.
So we were in West Yellowstone for this one, and Maggie and I decided to do the mountain biking, which was also included, by the way, and they outfit you with a nice bike, helmet, and all your gear that you need. Gave us all water bottles to keep, but they take us out to this place, and as you can see, there's targets behind us in the distance. So we're riding on it. It's actually a biathlon course that we're riding. In the summer, it's a mountain biking course, but we're standing on the biathlon course right now. They shoot from just behind us there. And it's Olympic training facility, so it's super nice. Everything's all manicured, taken care of, and it's just a great place to get out and ride a mountain bike. But we had a guide with us for that also that was not Disney, that was from a local bike store. So all that was set up for us, and we had a big group that went out and just had a good time, and it was beautiful. And a lot more good scenery.
Mm-hmm. And if you have somebody in your family that doesn't have the ability physically to ride a bike, or they don't feel comfortable rafting, there are other activities that they can choose from that would be of milder nature. So, Jack Henry and George Grant really weren't able to do this huge trail, bike trail, because of skill level. And so we went to a museum full of live wolves and bears, and just had a really great day. While you guys were doing that, there was another activity. Same thing with the rafting. We had some families that chose not to raft, and so they ended up doing some more milder kayaking. So that's an option.
And also, both of those, even though ours was a little bit more physical, the guide still educated us on the area, and educated us about biathlon, and educated us about what we were riding on and what we were near. It wasn't just, all right, let's go ride bikes. You guys follow me. It was a stop every so often. This is what this is. This is where we are. And this is why. I mean, everybody's so knowledgeable. And that's part of that Disney experience of making it both educational and entertaining. So.
And I'm talking about age-appropriate activities. Jack Henry, little thing, doesn't weigh much, and he's 6 years old, so he got to experience a tote ride, and he just had a great time, too. So that was more for his age and his skill level. Here's our here's our fly fishing trip. Ellie Bell just caught fish and had an experienced guide, and really great fun. This picture ties up and just ends our trip that we did in Montana this summer. It's our view from a farewell dinner, a view from our farewell dinner. And we had a big picnic out here, and you can see the sun setting between the mountains. We're on the Gallatin River. And just can't even, this picture just sums up how beautiful everything was, and how Disney really just tried to immerse us into this nature and have so many intimate experiences.
We're sitting there. First of all, they ask us to come to the main area of the resort, and they pick us up in open top carriages that are horse drawn.
That's right.
And so we load up in 2 of those, and the whole group gets out. It's about a 15-minute carriage ride out to this place. And they have like a tent and picnic tables, and they had a guy playing guitar and had
hoedown dancing.
I don't know about that, but yeah, no. But they had a buffet kind of meal with dessert, and they had wine and beer available, and all that's local.
Kids did s'mores.
Local wine, beer, and desserts and stuff like that. And the kids are, there's a huge campfire with a bunch of tree stumps as seats that you can sit on. I mean, it's just like perfect rustic, living it and the river's rushing by the whole time. It's just beautiful.
Oh, and remember the deer that came up while we were having our dinner?
Yeah, and to the right of this picture, there's trees in the mountain, and we're sitting there, and there's just deer walking by, like wanting to see if they can have a s'more. I guess, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I just want to, encourage you guys to think about what you want your adventure to be, what you want your story to look like that you and your children experience together, because Disney offers 3 itineraries. We've shown you 2, and you just kind of have to decide what parts of the itineraries are you drawn to most. For this particular itinerary, I really was drawn to the glamping. I thought that would be fun. So many things that they mentioned on the itinerary or didn't even mention on the itinerary were my favorites as well. So you just kind of have to decide. The Arizona-Utah itinerary that we did not show you today includes Sedona and the Grand Canyon. And so is that something on your bucket list that you want to experience in true Disney style? We have actually also done the Canadian Rockies itinerary. And, if you're thinking about going out of the country but you want to kind of keep it close to home, not quite ready to go overseas, Canada would be a great adventure for you guys to experience together. We could also show you that one and tell you more about that too. So I hope you enjoyed this. Chris, you got anything else that you want to talk about or say, tying up our
I don't think so.
here?
I think if you're looking for value for what you get for what you pay for, you can't beat it. And if you already like Disney Cruise Line, then you're going to love this.
Right. That's right. Okay. Well, thank you. Bye, guys.